As we age, there are certain things we must protect, things we shouldn't allow from our children. It might sound harsh, but the truth is that if you don't set boundaries in your later years, your peace, your dignity, and even your future could slowly be taken away. It's not about them being bad people. Many of them are just trying their best, but somewhere along the way, those important boundaries may have faded. And when there are no boundaries, love can start to feel like a burden. It can become something that drains you, leaving you exhausted, guilty, and worn out. But remember, you are still your own person with your own needs, your own time, and your own space. And as you grow older, it becomes even more crucial to protect those things. Let's start with the first behavior you should never tolerate: disrespect. Disrespect isn't always loud. It doesn't always look like shouting or name-calling. In fact, some of the most painful forms of disrespect come quietly. A sarcastic remark, an eye roll when you share a story, or a laugh when you express an opinion. It might be something as simple as your son saying, "That's not how things work anymore, Mom." And the room chuckles, while you force a smile, but deep down it hurts. You feel small, as if your experiences, your memories, your wisdom don't matter anymore. You're made to feel outdated, irrelevant. And you start to wonder, am I too sensitive? But no, you're not. You are simply asking for the most basic thing: respect. Respect for your voice, your life experience, and the lessons you've learned. You carried your children, sacrificed sleep, money, and your own dreams for them. So it's not too much to expect that when you speak, they listen. When you share, they don't mock. When you're in the room, you should be treated like someone who matters. That's not weakness. That's dignity. If this continues, speak up. Don't do it in a crowded dinner table or in the heat of the moment, but in a quiet, private setting when emotions are calm. Simply say, "When you laugh at my stories, it makes me feel like I don't matter, like my experiences don't matter." That one sentence can change everything. And if the disrespect continues, it's okay to walk away. You can say, "I won't sit through conversations where I feel invisible." The second behavior to avoid is financial dependence. This one is tough because it always begins with love. You want to help. You want to see your child stable, safe, and supported. So you lend them money to cover a car repair, help with rent, or pay off a credit card. But somehow, it keeps happening. "Mom, I just need a little help this month." "Dad, I promise this is the last time." And before you know it, you're draining your savings, your retirement, your hard-earned security for a child who should be standing on their own 2 feet. Yes, it's okay to help occasionally. But when your adult children, even into their 30s or 40s, still rely on you financially, it's time to reassess. You are not being selfish by saying no. You can offer alternatives. "I'll help with your job search," or "Let's sit down and create a budget together." These boundaries are not punishments. They are stepping stones toward your child's independence and your own peace of mind. If you've been caught in this cycle, it's not too late to change. Start small but be firm. "I love you, but I need to prioritize my own stability." That's not cruelty. That's courage. The third behavior you must never allow is emotional manipulation. This one is sneaky because it often comes disguised as love. Emotional manipulation can feel like guilt, like pressure, and it always makes you second-guess your right to say no. Maybe it's something as simple as telling your daughter you can't babysit the grandkids this weekend because you have plans with friends. You're finally doing something for yourself and you feel excited. But then she replies with a heavy sigh, "I guess I'll have to cancel my job interview. I thought you understood how important this was to me." Suddenly, all the joy you had in your plans drains away. You feel selfish, guilty, maybe even ashamed. Or perhaps your son says, "After everything I've been through, I thought you'd be more supportive just because you said no to another loan." That's what emotional manipulation does. It turns your no into something wrong. It makes you feel like you're failing them when all you're doing is trying to take care of yourself. Here's what's hard to hear but necessary. Sometimes, the people using guilt don't even realize they're doing it. They've learned that if they press the right buttons, if they pout, cry, or stay silent long enough, you'll cave. They know your soft spots. They know how much you love them. And without meaning to, they've started using that love as a tool. But love isn't guilt. It's not about giving in because you're afraid of being seen as difficult or uncaring. You can love your children deeply and still say no. You can set boundaries without being cruel. To start, when you feel that emotional pressure, pause. You don't have to answer right away. Take a moment to think and reflect on your needs. Then say something like, I notice that when I say no, you often make me feel guilty. I love you, but I need to be able to make decisions for myself without being pressured. It may feel uncomfortable at first, and it might create tension, but healthy relationships are built on honesty and mutual respect. If your children truly love you, they'll listen. They may not get it immediately, but they will learn over time that your boundaries are not rejection. They are protection for both of you. The fourth behavior to avoid is when your time, home, and freedom are used without boundaries. Being needed by your family can feel wonderful. Helping with grandkids, being part of their lives, that's a beautiful thing. But when your time is always on their terms, when your own plans are constantly pushed aside and your home becomes a revolving door, there's a problem. Slowly, your hobbies, your friendships, your moments of peace shrink to fit into everyone else's needs. And that's not okay. You deserve rest. You deserve space. You deserve the freedom to say, this weekend, I need time for myself. That's not selfish. That's wisdom. To start taking your time back, begin by setting expectations. Let your children know gently that unplanned visits don't work for you anymore. You can say something like, I love spending time with the kids, but I need a little notice to plan for my own needs. You don't have to feel guilty for protecting your time. As we age, our energy shifts. We may not be able to do what we used to, and we shouldn't have to. If you feel exhausted after a full day of running around, it's okay to say, I can help for a few hours, but I'll need the rest of the day to rest. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. And if they push back, that's just proof that the boundary is necessary. Now, let's talk about neglect, particularly emotional neglect. Sometimes the deepest pain doesn't come from what your children say to you. It comes from what they don't say, from what they don't do. It's the silence when you need them most. Maybe you're recovering from surgery, or you're dealing with a difficult loss, or even just needing help carrying groceries. You're not asking for the world, but you expect a phone call, a visit, a sign that someone remembers you still have needs, that someone cares. When that care never comes, it doesn't just feel like forgetfulness. It feels like being invisible. This is a heartbreaking reality many older adults face. The moment you realize the roles have shifted, but the support hasn't come full circle. You were the reliable one, the caregiver, the constant. You showed up year after year. But when it's your turn, no one shows up for you. You don't want to beg. You don't want to feel like a burden. So you stay quiet, telling yourself they're busy, they have their own lives. But here's the truth. Love isn't just about giving. It's about receiving too. You deserve to be seen, supported, and acknowledged, not because you raised them, but because you're still here and your life still matters. If you're feeling neglected, it's time to speak up with honesty. Don't rely on hints, guilt, or silence. Be clear and direct. For example, you might say, I've been feeling a bit alone lately. A phone call every now and then would really mean a lot to me. Or, I have a doctor's appointment next week, and I'd really appreciate if someone could come with me. That's not needy, it's human. You are allowed to express your needs. If the neglect continues, it's okay to shift your emotional energy. Instead of focusing on the people who continually forget you, give more space to those who do show up. Maybe it's a neighbor who checks in on you every day, or a friend from church who always asks how you're doing. These are the people who truly support you. Realigning your energy is a rejection. It's taking care of yourself. You don't have to keep pouring your love into places that refuse to receive it. Now, let's move on to constant criticism. This is another behavior that may be hidden behind what appears to be care, but it can slowly chip away at your confidence. Perhaps you've told your children you want to move to a smaller home or live closer to the coast. You're excited about a new chapter, but instead of support, you hear, you can't sell the house. That's where we grew up. Or maybe you decided to try something new, like taking a painting class or even dating online. And suddenly, their concern turns into criticism. Are you sure that's safe? Isn't it a little soon? It feels subtle but patronizing, and it can make you feel embarrassed for wanting something for yourself. But the truth is, they don't get to decide how you live your life. You've earned your independence. You've lived decades, made mistakes, and come through them. You've built a life with your own hands, and you don't need permission to live it how you want. When this criticism comes disguised as concern, listen if you want, but don't let it affect your choices. You can thank them for their opinion, but you don't have to defend your decisions. You are not a project for them to manage. Sometimes their criticism has nothing to do with you. It's about their own fears or discomfort with change. But that doesn't mean you have to accept it. You can choose to keep certain decisions private, not because you're hiding, but because you are protecting your peace. You have the right to build a life that fits who you are now, not just who they want you to be. You have the right to find joy, to try new things, and to take risks, even in your later years. You are not too old to start again, and you are certainly not too late to speak up for yourself. Finally, let's talk about being expected to give care, but never receiving it in return. It often starts with a simple request. Can you watch the kids while I go back to work? Or, can you move closer so you can help with school pickups? At first, it feels good to be needed. You love your grandkids and you want to help your children. But then the requests keep coming. What started as one afternoon a week turns into several days a week. Before long, your retirement feels like a second full-time job. But when it's your turn to ask for help, when you try to talk about planning for your own care, suddenly everyone is too busy or they change the subject. You're left feeling like when the time comes for you to need help, you'll face it alone. That's not fair, and it's not sustainable. You are not just a helper. You are not just a babysitter, a driver, or a free cleaning service. You are a whole person with your own needs, your own energy, and your own future that deserves to be planned for with care. If you enjoy helping with the grandchildren, that's wonderful. But if it's leaving you overwhelmed, exhausted, or resentful, it's time to set limits. You can say, I need to reclaim some of this time for myself. That's not selfish. It's survival. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to set boundaries. You can say, I can help once a week, but not every day. Or, I need a few mornings each week just for myself. Your time and energy have value. Just because you're retired doesn't mean you're endlessly available. When it comes to your own care, don't wait for a crisis to start the conversation. Sit down with your family and talk about your future needs. Discuss where you might live, who will help with medical decisions, and how finances will be handled. These conversations might feel uncomfortable, but having clarity now can prevent chaos later. And if your children avoid these topics or brush them off, it's okay to start planning with the people who are willing to help. A friend, a lawyer, a care planner, or a trusted professional. You don't need your family's permission to protect your future. You don't need their approval to build a plan that gives you peace of mind. Because what's at stake is your independence, your safety, and your dignity. Let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've discussed so far. In your later years, you should never tolerate disrespect. Every time someone talks down to you, interrupts you, or mocks your stories, they are chipping away at your confidence, and you deserve to be heard. Never allow constant financial dependence, because draining your retirement to help someone else live comfortably is sacrificing your own security. Never tolerate emotional manipulation, because guilt is not love, and you are allowed to say no without apologizing. Don't let your time and space be used without boundaries. You've earned your rest, and your home is not a 24/7 convenience store. And never allow neglect. When you're in need, your children should show up for you. Love includes presence, care, and a willingness to support the one who once supported everyone else. You are not asking for too much. You are not being difficult. You are not being selfish. You are simply choosing dignity. And if your children don't understand that yet, it's okay to teach them kindly with love, but also with strength. Because setting a boundary is not rejection. It is instruction. It's saying, this is how I deserve to be treated. It's reminding yourself and the world that you still matter. You are not just a parent or a grandparent, a helper, a bank, a storage unit, or a safety net. You are a human being with dreams, with value, and with years left to live fully, deeply, and unapologetically. You are not too old to start again. You are not too late to speak up for yourself, and you are certainly not done. If this message spoke to your heart, I'd love for you to share in the comments. I choose dignity, not just as a phrase, but as a promise to yourself. If you like more videos like this, gentle, honest, empowering messages for this season of your life, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to click the bell so you'll be the first to know when something new arrives just for you. Because you are not alone, you are not forgotten, and you are far from finished. We'll talk again soon. Until then, take care of yourself. You're worth it.